And welcome to another episode of the Miles Offside podcast, where we talk a little bit of football and a whole lot of marching on together. My name is Chuck Bailey, and you join me on another one of our pre-season preview podcasts, where this week we're going to be talking about Leeds United, the Mighty Whites or Dirty Leeds, whichever way you prefer it. Joining me today is a bloody wonderful bloke that I'm really looking forward to talking to. It's my good man, Christian. Christian, how are you, sir?
I'm doing okay, thank you. How about yourself?
Yeah, living well, mate. Living well. Enjoying the, relative sunshine, I guess. I don't know. Roads are quiet, innit? Schools.
Yeah.
Enough of this small talk. You are obviously a Leeds fan. That's why we have you here today. I guess the accent gives it away a little bit as well.
For my sins, I am.
I want to give you the opportunity. Tell us a little bit about your Leeds story, your history, how you became a Leeds fan.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm from Leeds originally. Didn't support them. I suppose you could say when I was first born. Yes, really. But I started supporting them when I sort of like got to make my own mind up about what stuff. It's a lot of family stuff. So my dad supported Leeds, but my dad wasn't living with us. So I was a Liverpool supporter, and he could say, I was a Glory supporter when when Leeds won the title in '92.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
But I have followed them thick and thin since then. So I've not swapped my allegiances since then.
Nice. So how have you kind of felt, obviously then kind of seeing Leeds through the formation of the Premier League to then having obviously the financial issues and crisis that you did have through overspending at that time. How do you kind of compare Leeds through the Premier League, I guess, up until kind of now and the latest kind of Leeds team we see?
I think there's a famous saying now, isn't it? Doing at Leeds. but the Leeds team, I think the owners now obviously are a lot better.
Yep.
I've got something to say about that later on.
Okay. We'll save that. We'll save that. That's no worries.
I think now, it's a better run club.
Definitely.
You can see other clubs not being run as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now we should be fine. If we'd have gone down, that'd have been a nightmare.
Yep.
But really. So it's like it's been a long
I think
process.
You've done well. At least for me, I don't know. Like the image of Leeds, obviously, I joke about it at the start, the dirty Leeds thing, and how you were back in like the 90s and stuff. But now, I can't help but find this Leeds team. I guess maybe it's partly Bielsa in the way you were playing, but like quite likable. Really, in like the kind of popular overall football people that are just watching the Premier League kind of thing. Yeah,
they're still hated though by
United, Chelsea,
by the fans. They are still called Dirty Leeds, but everyone was dirty back in them days.
It is very true. It's unfortunate that you're the ones that were stuck with that.
Yeah, they all were. I mean, we still get called it now, obviously, which is not true. Because obviously with Bielsa, we won that, what was it?
Like some sort of Fair Play Award or something like that.
Yeah, the Fair Play Award for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows, people are going to hate this, but it shows how big Leeds are still.
Right.
Loads of fans will say, no, they're not. Leeds aren't big anymore. But they still get talked about all the time.
Yep. Well, I think you've had like you're a club that's followed like incredibly passionately. We've compared it. I'd compare it to teams like Newcastle, where it's like a big part of the city. Even teams that teams are kind of in a similar situation that you probably found yourself previously, like Sunderland, that dropped down quite a way and they're now starting to come back up, but still have a really strong following. What would you say it's? I mean, just to caveat also what you said, you won the Fair Play Award a few years ago, fine, but you got 101 yellow cards last year. That was the most by 19. So maybe those days are over. But it was a desperate season, I guess.
It was a desperate season. It's I'd love to Bielsa.
Yeah, talk us through the Bielsa of it all, because he obviously, the documentaries that came out, obviously the Spygate, the whatever. What was Bielsa like for you as a Leeds fan?
I loved him.
Yeah.
I think all Leeds loved him, and I think it wasn't just about the club.
Mm-hmm.
It was more about what he did for the city of Leeds as well.
Yeah.
And if you read Calvin Phillips, who's left now, he said basically, and Rafinha,
yeah,
and they both said Bielsa changed their lives, and it changed the city.
Yeah.
I don't live in the city, obviously. I'm just going by what I speak to people about. But yeah, it changed everything, like the attitude towards everything, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When he left, I was gutted. I just thought he wouldn't change. That was the problem. He wouldn't change. We did need new players, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, because you didn't sign anyone in the January gone, did you?
We wanted to rely on youngsters. We've had a fair few decent ones come through.
Yeah.
And he did need to change, but we're still gutted.
Yeah, you didn't really see him ever. I mean, your injuries kept piling up.
Yeah.
And you were only playing the same rate. And I guess key injuries as well, like Calvin Phillips hardly played last year. Patrick Bamford, who had an amazing turn, completely unexpected, I would say, especially for myself.
Yeah, because you love him, don't you?
Yeah, not so much. I don't mind him anymore. This is the problem, right? When Leeds came up, I was like, no, I want to hate them, blah, 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 whatever. And then they were amazing. They were so much fun to watch. And then the second season, last season, I really wanted them to do well. And then I just felt like I cursed them. I was apologising to you so many weeks, dropping you text messages. And I felt bad because, I mean, who else were we having injuries to? Liam Cooper, your whole back line. Jack Harrison was out for quite a while, I seem to remember.
I don't actually really rate Liam Cooper that much, but I didn't anyway. Mm-hmm. But when you saw he came back, he was the leader.
Yeah.
He's not the best player in the history of mankind by any way, shape or form.
No, but sometimes in that situation, that's the type of player you need. Just someone who's going to make you pull your socks up, really.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, so...
sorry, go on.
No, so, under Bielsa, obviously, it became a bit... stuck to his dogma. And do you think it was... Do you think if he'd have stayed, you would have gone down? I mean, it's easy to say now afterwards because you did survive. Spoiler alert for anyone who didn't look at the Premier League table from last season yet. And with the change to March. So are you surprised it didn't happen sooner, maybe?
I think we should have... it's so difficult to say because we've probably lost a lot of our... We've lost two of the main players already anyway.
Yeah.
But... we wouldn't have been able to get other players in, which no one really knows about anyway at this point in time. Yeah. But I think a lot of the younger players might have left as well.
Right.
But I don't... I think we'd have stayed up because we were getting major players back.
Yeah.
And we also had an easier run-in than a lot of other people.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I personally think.
Right, okay, so you think you would have stayed up anyway, because obviously Jesse Marsch came in and there was a lot of the, I'd say the usual easy kind of criticism, American coming to the Premier League, the Ted Lasso comparisons, all that kind of thing. But, I mean, he seems to me to be an incredibly passionate and quite a personable bloke. How do you think, how have you kind of taken to him since he's come in?
He's a bit like my new boss. Like
right.
A bit like,
okay.
Like what they call like a promotional speaker or something like that. Like everything's always good, everything's always great, and it's like, it's a bit too much.
It's like, this is Britain, mate. We don't do that here.
It's a bit too much, really. Obviously, I wish it as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, time will tell.
Okay, so you weren't necessarily inspired by him last season, or, I mean, you said kind of you thought you'd stay up anyway under Bielsa, so that kind of says to me that, it wasn't necessarily Marsch that caused you to stay up?
I think the change of football, I think we're playing quite boring football as well now.
Right, okay.
At the end of the season, we were playing quite boring. A lot of the yellow cards, we did get a lot of yellow cards and red cards underneath Bielsa as well, obviously, but a lot of the yellow cards and red cards were at the end of the season as well.
Yep. Yeah, you're having quite a lot late on. But do you think that's maybe because, like you were pretty fucked You just lost like 5 on the bounce. Really
Who
struggling.
were they against, though?
Everton, Man United, Liverpool, Tottenham, Leicester, Villa. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
Mixes.
So it looked like they were like
Newcastle.
Villa and Everton. Newcastle, that were always a dodgy one.
Look, Palace gave you 3 points, mate. All right, I don't know what you're. Well, that was before Christmas, but yeah, fair enough. It's a bit of a difficult one. But you think the style of play? I mean, do you think that's him just adjusting and having to kind of shut up shop and prepare?
I think so, and I think really a lot of the red cards and yellow cards as well. They were playing for their lives, weren't they? Really?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
God, without a heart or soul, I do think Bielsa did have to go.
Yeah,
because
I think. Yeah,
he wouldn't have changed.
No, and it kind of feels bad. I mean, he lasted a decent amount of time at Leeds. What was he there 4 or 5 years? Kind of across his history, that's been kind of the situation. Like, you know, the fabled Bielsa burnout, as everyone says to it, because he is quite relentless, and you know I think it was because of him in January they didn't sign any people because he was like, nope, that was it.
Yeah, he was. He was with a small squad, and that's it really.
Yeah,
it's Bielsa's way or nothing. But the things they did for that club is like, and the city itself is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, they're talking about like statues of him and all sorts. I mean, he was always speaking to people. You'd see him in the supermarkets, really humble. I mean, we joke about this, but you know, he's just an absolute football pervert. Just fucking loves it. Yeah, I think. So, kind of going into where we are now, like pre-season and stuff. Obviously, the big ones are Rafinha and Calvin Phillips going to Barcelona and City. Did you feel that was kind of inevitable? And are you happy with the amount? You thought you'd keep Phillips?
I think Phillips is a bit. I'm happy for Rafinha because it was his. I'm having a constant argument about this. Well, when it was happening with my dad, that's all I'm speaking about is football. Really, we don't speak about anything else whatsoever. And I was happy for Rafinha. It was his dream as a boy, and he didn't want to go anywhere else. Right. So I was happy for Rafinha. Phillips, I think. I know it's going to sound. I think Phillips is very overrated. So
really?
I do.
Interesting. I wouldn't. And this isn't. Hang on. This isn't you saying out of spite because he's gone now, is it?
No.
It's not like you've had a breakup and now you know she's terrible.
I was more bothered about Rafinha going. Than Phillips.
Well, I mean,
obviously,
it's easy with the last season because Phillips had a lot of injuries and didn't feature, and Rafinha. I mean, those celebrations on the last day of the season are iconic images.
I've watched it about 15 times now.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Like I've watched it so many times. You know, the way he was celebrating, the emotions, scoring that penalty, because as well for him, in that situation, like it didn't probably matter whether he scored that penalty and Leeds stayed up or he missed that penalty and Leeds ended up going down. For him,
if he had played as well as he did, and we went down, it'd have been 10 times easier for him to go to Barcelona.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, he did that because of his love. And you could tell from the celebrations, he was in the crowd with his partner, top off, with all the fans. Absolutely amazing. And yeah, like you said, if that's his dream move, like, you can't really bemoan him. He was one of those players that, like, you could probably tell for a while he was going to move on and when.
Yeah. But at least he didn't go to anywhere in England.
Well, at least none of them went to the red shite, so you know that's the main thing.
Well, Phillips had never done that anyway.
No,
I don't like Phillips, but I do think it's. I think he's a
English
bit
tax. English tax, perhaps we get sometimes. Yeah,
I think it's like it's a bit overrated.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the English players are overrated. To tell you the truth, for the amount of money they go for, and he's injury prone.
Yep. Okay.
And he is 25 now, 26, something like that.
26, yeah.
26. I'm not saying that I'm glad he's doing it.
Yeah.
But is he doing it for the right? Is he doing it for the right reasons, or we got a lot of money for him? So fair enough.
Yeah, exactly. It's 100 million in basically for those two players, and it seems to be that's turned into hire everyone who bring in everyone who's worked with Jesse Marsch or was at
no, that is a bit
one of the Red Bull teams, right? Brendan Aronson, Tyler Adams from Leipzig, Brendan Adamson and Rasmus Christensen from Salzburg.
He seems good.
Yeah. I think they're all. I mean, everyone from the Red Bull teams is really highly rated and exciting and very young. I mean, I've had this similar conversations about a load of teams, but if you look at the players you've signed, 21, 23, 23, 24, 25, 18, 24. That's it, yeah. So all really young, and so it's kind of, all looking to the future and him playing that style. So I don't know if you've caught them in pre-season at all and kind of seen any big changes, or we were messaging with the Palace Leeds match.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Did you watch that? Was it terrible?
It wasn't the best advert for either team. I mean, we took our under-23s.
There we go.
There was a penalty for Leeds, but you could tell Leeds were working towards something. I think the problem was that one of your new signings, Sinistera, went off injured. Which is quite a big blow and a shame in pre-season.
I've got big hopes for him because my favourite ever player is Colombian. So,
who's your favourite ever player?
Asprilla.
Faustino Asprilla. Yeah, good point. I used to love him. He used to do backflips. That was it. I loved him.
Yep.
Do you think there's any more? I mean, I've seen some rumours of Jack Harrison going. Do you think that will happen? And do you think that might be
don't rate Jack Harrison?
Right. Do you rate any of your players?
Yeah, I do.
So you don't like Liam Cooper, you don't like Calvin Phillips, you don't like Jack Harrison.
I understand what Liam Cooper came.
Daniel James. You're going to like Daniel James, aren't you?
Yeah. He's playing in the wrong position.
Oh, yeah.
I like James
sub bench. He should be on the subs bench.
I like James because he's Gelhardt love.
Gelhardt's great. Gelhardt was the one who, wasn't it in the second to last game, you played this absolutely mad ball over the top. He controlled it in the box, flicked it over a player. Oh, that was beautiful. I fucking loved that.
there's a lot of players I love. But a lot of them it's a bit, how to say it? I think we've got better wingers.
Okay.
Than Jack Harrison. I think if we can get a decent amount of money for him, then he has off days and...
Right. He was quiet for a lot of last season.
Yeah.
And then he came back and got a hat-trick or something, didn't he?
Yeah, he obviously scored the winning goal as well, which was a bit of a fluke,
So do you think? Do you not have concerns that if Harrison goes as well, it's quite a... But, him, Rafinha and Calvin Phillips all going. As far as me, as an outsider, sees those as quite crucial parts to Leeds, especially because, Bamford, I mean, he was injured for a long time, came back, got injured in, a celebration, didn't he? Went out again, got injured again when he came back.
We are going for a new attacker.
Yep.
I don't want the Belgian one because You don't even know what to think about the news half the time, do you? If it's true or not. But it's obvious he don't want to come to Leeds.
No, he wants AC Milan. This is Charles de Ketelaere, 21-year-old, highly rated, wants AC Milan. I think they're just using Leeds potentially as hey, look, the Premier League, they have lots of money. Be careful, to try and probably bump up the price or something like that.
That PSG one, I quite like. He was quite good.
I'm not sure who. Okay.
I think it's
PSG. Kalimuendo.
Yeah.
There you go. I know nothing about him, but...
neither do I.
There we
go. I don't know anything about the Belgian guy.
It is the classic wait until you see him in the shirt, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's it now. It is so hard. I mean, you check on social media and every club signing everyone. Newcastle are linked to everyone. West Ham are linked to everyone. So you think that this is... I mean, it's good to see that, you've at the minute you've spent exactly the money that you've got in, at least on players, because you you have to. So do you think that kind of no matter what, looking forward now to next season, and I guess you can kind of take this as a prediction of where you think Leeds will finish. But do you think Marsh is in that situation where he'd probably stay even if you did get relegated?
I think with Marsh, it's going to be how it starts. So I don't think he's going to get as much chance as Bielsa.
Okay.
He's definitely not getting as much love from the fans as Bielsa did.
Yeah, that's fair enough to say. I mean, he's got to get a fair crack of the whip, though, isn't he? Like, I don't think you can necessarily be too harsh to judge him on last season.
Too harsh on Marsh.
Too harsh on Marsh.
I just don't... It's like, I think it still hurts a lot of fans about Bielsa.
Yep.
About what he did for the club. And then
so do you think it could turn toxic fairly quickly at Elland Road? Or are you like that as a fan base? More, I mean, the problem is that, I've only really seen Leeds in recent times, and under Bielsa, like, you absolutely fucking loved it, and you were creating a wicked atmosphere and all of that. So I'm not really sure if you've necessarily completely turned on managers and tried to drive them out in the past, say, for example, like a West Ham have done in recent memory.
It all depends on... I mean, it's just fickle, really, isn't it? It's fickle.
Yeah.
But like, if it's going well, fans are going to support him. As soon as it's not going well, they won't support him. He might turn into some kind of Bielsa. I ain't got a clue. But Bielsa will love. Even when we were getting beat, getting smashed, we were still singing his name.
Yeah.
So it's it's going to be a double-edged sword, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess as long as, I had a conversation with Matthew on a Southampton podcast, and I kind of see it the same as Palace this year. It's like, or at least maybe Leeds can potentially be like Palace were last year. You don't really know what to expect. You've brought in quite a lot of players. Your expectations aren't necessarily that high, but if you're going to play an exciting brand of football and it's going to be decent to watch, you can kind of forgive a fair amount.
What I've seen so far is not that, but obviously it's a new season.
Yeah.
And I mean, I told you about Palace. Vieira would either be a complete failure or you'd be decent. There's no middle ground, and you were decent.
Yeah, I think so. I absolutely loved it. I can't wait for this season. You mentioned your start. I mean, your first fixtures are pretty decent. Wolves, Southampton, Chelsea is a big one. Who knows what could happen there. Then Brighton, Everton, Brentford, Nottingham Forest. So that's your first 7 games. So you'd probably like to see him start big and start well, right?
Yeah. I think you need to be like Chelsea, fair enough. You don't expect anything from Chelsea, really.
No.
Well, maybe last season Chelsea were getting beat by all sorts, weren't they, really?
Yeah, it was a mixed bag, and we don't really know what's happening with them now this year. Like, they're not getting their players, and they're all going to Barcelona, and it's all weird.
I think it's them kind of clubs you need to be looking at.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
The first game, if we're terrible about them, then that could be straight away.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the first game as well, so you can't really be built. Chelsea's not really... Yeah, you don't look at Chelsea.
And the rest, I think you're right. They're all of them are in that bracket where you could justify them finishing 18th or 10th. Yeah. Wolves, Southampton, Brighton, Everton, Brentford, Forest. Promoted sides. Wolves, I don't rate them. Southampton, who knows? Brighton, fucking hate them. Everton, probably getting relegated.
I hope so. Not because I dislike Everton.
But you don't like Lampard?
I hate Fat Frank.
Lovely. So put a number on it then, Christian. I'm going to pin you down to one. Where do you think you finish this season?
14th.
14th. There it is. Bang. I love it. Absolutely love it. Christian, it's been a bloody pleasure to speak to you, mate. I've really enjoyed it. The little journey into your, I guess, love / hatred of various Leeds elements. But it's been absolutely brilliant to speak to you. I love it. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for listening. This marks the end of our pre-season series with fans. Thank you to everyone that's got involved, and I look forward very much to doing this again next year. And also keeping up with you, Christian, on Leeds' progress under
when they get
Marsh.
relegated, you mean?
Well, I didn't want to end on too much of a downer, mate. Definitely. Join us on Twitter at Miles Offside Pod, patreon.com/Miles Offside Pod for all sorts of extra goodies you can get. We've got loads more podcasts coming out. Our pre-season preview. We've just recorded a hour-long special on Wagatha Christie, a second part. So go and listen to that. And then we've got Fantasy Premier League stuff before the big kickoff on the 5th of August. Premier League football is back. Bloody love it. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Bye-bye.